Buddhism is not a religion, it's a path to awareness. For many of you watching this video, Buddhism isn't just a topic, it's part of your spiritual journey. You may already be followers of the Buddhist path, practicing mindfulness, listening to Dharma talks, or exploring Zen stories in hopes of finding deeper meaning. And yet, even among dedicated seekers, one question remains common. What is Buddhism? Really? Where did it begin? What does it truly teach? Today, I invite you to take a step back, not away from the path, but closer to its roots. Whether you're new to Buddha meditation or have heard Buddha teachings all your life, this video will help you reconnect with the essence of the practice. We're not just talking about a religion, we're talking about a path to spiritual awakening, clarity, and peace. Many people in the West think of Buddhism as a religion. They picture temples, monks in robes, incense, and perhaps even something mystical or foreign. But if we truly listen to the Buddha himself, we find something quite different. Buddhism is not about worship. It's not about bowing down or believing in higher powers. It's about waking up. The Buddha wasn't a god. He was a human being who experienced confusion, pain, and fear just like the rest of us. But what made him extraordinary is that he didn't run away from those struggles. Instead, he sat with them, questioned them, and ultimately understood them. And from that deep understanding, the path of Buddhism was born not as dogma, but as a guide to freedom. Buddhism in English is often described as a way of life rather than a religion. It's a path of inquiry, of awareness, of seeing clearly. The Buddhist teachings encourage us to stop, breathe, and observe the mind, to live with mindfulness, to listen, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. It's not about rules, it's about reality. At the heart of Buddhism is one powerful idea. Suffering exists, but it doesn't have to control us. Life will always bring challenges, aging, loss, disappointment, but how we meet those moments is what defines our inner peace. Buddhism invites us to see the mind not as an enemy, but as a tool. Through Buddha meditation, Zen practices, and everyday awareness, we can transform suffering into understanding and fear into wisdom. You don't have to believe in Buddhism to benefit from it. This isn't about converting or convincing. It's about exploring. If you've ever asked yourself, is there more to life than this constant rush, this endless craving? Then you're already standing at the gates of the Dharma. So, what is Buddhism? It's not a label or a religion. It's a way of being, a way of seeing, a way of living that begins with one simple question. Can I wake up to the truth of this moment? The first truth: life is suffering. When the Buddha began teaching over 500 years ago, he didn't start with lofty ideas or divine commandments. He began with something simple, something every human being knows deep in their bones. Life contains suffering. This wasn't meant to be a pessimistic view of existence, but rather an honest acknowledgement of what we all experience. The first noble truth is called dukkha, a Pali word often translated as suffering, but it really means so much more. It points to the unsatisfactory nature of life, the feeling that things are never quite right, never fully lasting, never ultimately satisfying. We feel it in big ways: grief, heartbreak, illness, aging. But we also feel it in small, everyday moments: waiting in traffic, wanting something we can't afford, arguing with someone we love. Even happiness carries a kind of subtle suffering, because deep down we know it won't last. That beautiful vacation ends. That brand new car gets old. The joy fades. Everything changes. This is not meant to make us depressed, it's meant to wake us up. to help us see that trying to build a lasting sense of peace or happiness on things that are always changing is like trying to build a house on shifting sand. The Buddha wasn't trying to scare us, was trying to set us free. Because only when we see clearly where our pain comes from can we begin to live differently. He spoke of three main forms of dukkha. The first is ordinary suffering, pain, loss, discomfort. The second is suffering caused by change, even the good times don't last. And the third is existential suffering, the deep, gnawing sense that life is somehow missing something, even when things seem to be going okay. It's that feeling of, is this all there is? The beauty of Buddhism is that it doesn't stop here. It doesn't say, life is hard, deal with it. It says, yes, life has suffering, but there's a way out. The first truth is simply a mirror. It asks you to look at your life honestly, to stop pretending everything's fine when it's not. It asks you to be brave enough to face what hurts. And in that honesty, something powerful begins to happen. You stop fighting reality. You stop blaming yourself or others. And you start to understand. The first noble truth is a doorway, not a wall. It's not here to make you sad. It's here to open your heart, to help you see that you are not alone, that suffering is part of being human, and that by facing it, not running from it, you can begin to find peace that isn't based on avoiding pain but on meeting life exactly as it is. The cause of suffering, craving, and attachment. Once we recognize that suffering is a part of life, the next question naturally arises. Why do we suffer? If suffering is so universal, is it simply our fate, or is there something deeper going on beneath the surface? According to the Buddha's teachings, suffering doesn't come from the outside world. It doesn't come from what happens to us but from how we relate to what happens. The second noble truth tells us that the root of suffering is craving. In Pali, this is called tanha, thirst that never ends. It's the voice in our heads that always wants something more, something better, something different. We crave pleasure, praise, success, love, and we fear their opposites: pain, criticism, failure, loss. We chase after things, thinking, if I just get this one thing, then I'll be happy. But even when we get it, the satisfaction doesn't last. A new car, perfect partner, a dream vacation, they all fade. And then we're back to craving again. This endless cycle of wanting and fearing is what traps us. It's not the thing itself that causes pain, it's our attachment to it. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you hold it gently, it stays. But the tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. The same goes for life. The more tightly we hold on to people, possessions, identities, the more we suffer when they inevitably change or slip away. But craving doesn't only apply to external things. It includes our inner life too. We crave to be samaniya, better version of ourselves. We crave control, certainty, perfection. And when we can't get those things, we feel restless, anxious, even worthless. This is the hidden suffering that often goes unnoticed. Mindfulness, a core teaching in both Zen and modern Buddha meditation, helps us see this clearly. When we sit in silence, we begin to notice how the mind constantly reaches, grabs, rejects. One moment we're imagining something we want. The next, we're pushing away a painful memory. This tug-of-war inside is the very engine of suffering. The Buddha wasn't judging us for craving. He wasn't saying desire is evil. He was simply shining light on a pattern. He showed that craving, left unexamined, keeps us spinning in circles, always chasing, never arriving. And once we recognize it, we gain a new kind of freedom, the power to pause, to breathe, and to choose differently. You don't need to force yourself to stop craving. That's just another form of craving. Instead, You learn to observe it with compassion, to say, "Ah, here is that wanting again." And in that gentle awareness, the craving begins to lose its grip. Suffering isn't a punishment, it's a teacher. And craving isn't a flaw, it's a signal pointing us back to the present moment. In seeing it clearly, we take the first real step toward peace. The end of suffering, inner peace, is possible. After acknowledging the truth of suffering and seeing its root in craving and attachment, the next natural question is peace really possible? The Buddha's answer is clear and hopeful. Yes, this is the third noble truth, the cessation of suffering. In Pali, it's called Nirodha, and it's not some faraway paradise or abstract ideal. It's the possibility that, here and now, the mind can be free, that we can live in this world, with all its ups and downs, and still find a steady peace within. But let's be clear, this peace doesn't come from avoiding pain or denying life's challenges. It doesn't mean we stop feeling emotions or live in some empty void. Rather, it means we stop being controlled by our desires, fears, and stories. We begin to relate to the world and to ourselves with a deep sense of balance and clarity. Think of it like a glass of muddy water. When shaken, it's cloudy, but if we set it down and let it rest, the mud settles and the water becomes clear. Our minds are like that. When we stop stirring them up with constant craving and resistance, a natural stillness emerges. That stillness is not something we manufacture. It's always been there, just hidden beneath the noise. This inner peace isn't passive. It's vibrant. It allows us to live fully, to feel joy deeply, and even to face sorrow with courage. It's the kind of peace that can smile in the face of uncertainty, not because we've figured everything out, but because we've stopped needing to. Zen masters often say that awakening is not about gaining something new, it's about dropping what's not needed. The end of suffering is not a destination. It's a moment, again and again, of letting go, of not clinging to thoughts, not getting lost in judgment, not being hijacked by fear. And what takes the place of suffering? Compassion, clarity, a sense of freedom that isn't dependent on conditions being just right. When the mind is no longer chasing or fighting, it becomes spacious, and in that space, we rediscover who we really are, not the roles, not the ego, but the quiet awareness that has been with us all along. This is not just philosophy. Many people experience moments of this freedom in everyday life, after meditation, during grief, or even in simple moments of silence. Buddha teachings remind us that peace is not reserved for monks or saints. It's available to anyone who is willing to see clearly and let go. So yes, inner peace is possible. And not just possible. It's natural. It's already here. We just need to stop searching outside and turn inward. The end of suffering isn't the end of life, it's the beginning of truly living. The Eightfold Path, a practical way to live. Once we understand that suffering can end, the natural next question is, how? How do we move from a life of struggle and grasping to one of peace and freedom? The Buddha answered that question with a clear, compassionate roadmap, the Eightfold Path. This is not a set of commandments or rigid rules. It's a giddy set of 8 principles that help us live with more clarity, integrity, and awareness. It's a path we walk, not a finish line we reach. The Eightfold Path is traditionally divided into 3 categories: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Each step supports the others. You don't have to master one before moving to the next, 3 woven together like threads in a tapestry. 1. Right view. It begins with seeing clearly. Right view means understanding life as it isn't through fear, desire, or illusion. It's seeing the 4 noble truths and recognizing that our thoughts and actions have consequences. 2. Right intention. This is the why behind what we do. Are we acting out of kindness or selfishness? Right intention means living with goodwill, compassion, and letting go of harmful motives. 3. Right speech. Words matter. Right speech invites us to speak honestly, kindly, and with purpose. No gossip, no lies, no harshness. Our words can heal or harm. 4. Right action. This means living ethically, avoiding harm to others and ourselves. It includes honesty, respect, and non-violence. Every action becomes a reflection of our deeper understanding. 5. Right livelihood. How we earn a living also matters. Right livelihood encourages us to choose work that does not cause suffering. It's not just about money, it's about integrity. 6. Right effort. Right effort is about tending the garden of our mind. We learn to let go of negative thoughts, nurture positive ones, and keep going even when it's hard. This is the energy of the path. 7. Right mindfulness. This is the heart of the practice. Right mindfulness is being fully present, aware of the body, the breath, the mind. It's how we wake up from autopilot and begin to truly live. Right concentration. Finally, right concentration is about training the mind to become still and focused. Through meditation, we cultivate deep inner peace and insight. The beauty of the Eightfold Path is that it's not about escaping life, it's about engaging with it fully, but with wisdom and compassion. You don't need to retreat to a monastery. You can walk this path in the kitchen, in the office, in conversation, in silence. Buddhism as inner science. To many in the modern world, especially in the West, Buddhism might seem mystical or even superstitious, full of chanting, incense, and symbols. But if you look closer, beyond the surface, you'll discover something truly remarkable. Buddhism is not about believing, it's about seeing. It is, in many ways, an ancient form of inner science. Long before neuroscience and psychology emerged, the Buddha was studying the mind not through machines or brain scans, but through direct observation. He sat in silence, watched his thoughts rise and fall, and came to profound insights about how suffering is created and how it can end. What he found wasn't hidden in the stars or written in the sky. It was right here, in the human experience. The Buddha didn't claim divine revelation. He never said, "Trust me because I'm special." In fact, he said the opposite. "Don't take my word for it. Come and see for yourself." This is the core of what makes Buddhism a scientific path. You don't need blind faith. You need curiosity, discipline, and courage to look within. Buddhism encourages experiential understanding. It's not about repeating mantras without knowing their meaning or following rituals you don't feel connected to. It's about turning inward and becoming a witness to your own mind. This is what mindfulness, or sati in Pali, is all about: observing the moment without judgment, seeing how your thoughts come and go, watching how craving arises and how it passes. When you practice Buddha meditation, you become your own scientist. Your breath becomes the lab. Your thoughts, emotions, and habits become the data. And what you'll find isn't just fascinating, it's liberating. You begin to see how often we react out of habit, not awareness. How often we cling to what's pleasant and resist what's painful. And in that recognition lies the power to choose differently. Modern science is just beginning to catch up. Studies in neuroscience now show that meditation rewires the brain, reducing stress, increasing focus, and even improving emotional regulation. What the Buddha discovered through stillness, today's researchers are confirming with technology. But the real value isn't in the data, it's in the transformation you feel in your life. Zen teachers often say that the mind is like the sky, vast, open, and clear. Thoughts and emotions are like clouds. They pass. If we identify with the clouds, we feel tossed around. But if we remember the sky, we find space, calm, and perspective. So, is Buddhism a religion? In the cultural sense, maybe, but in the deepest sense, it is a way to study life, to study the self, and to awaken from the illusions we live inside. It's a journey of insight, not belief, path of clarity, not dogma. Buddhism is the science of suffering and the art of ending it. This is what makes Buddha's teachings timeless. The path isn't ancient, it's alive. It's relevant now, today, in every choice we make. With each step, we return to ourselves. With each breath, we come home. Every day awakening, living with mindfulness. When people hear the word awakening, they often imagine something dramatic, an out-of-body experience, a blinding moment of truth, or years of meditating in a mountain cave. But awakening isn't reserved for monks or mystics. In Buddhist teachings, true awakening is found not in escaping life but in living it fully, moment by moment. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness means paying attention to what's happening right now with kindness, curiosity, and without judgment. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's one of the most transformative things we can do. Most of us live in a fog. We're physically present, but mentally somewhere else, worrying about tomorrow, replaying yesterday, scrolling through distractions. Mindfulness invites us to come home, to return to the breath, to listen deeply, to walk slowly, to eat with gratitude, to speak with intention. In the words of Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, the miracle is not to walk on water, but to walk on the earth. You don't need a special cushion or a perfect space. Everyday mindfulness begins wherever you are. Washing the dishes becomes a meditation when you feel the warm water. Notice your breath and let go of racing thoughts. Drinking tea becomes sacred when you stop to smell, to taste, to truly be there. These moments of presence may seem small, but they are powerful. Why? Because they reconnect us to life not as it was, or as we wish it to be, but as it is. Awakening doesn't mean never feeling anger or fear again. It means seeing those emotions clearly without letting them define you. It means responding instead of reacting. It means meeting pain with compassion and joy with humility. In Zen stories, the wisest teachers don't speak in riddles. They simply invite students to notice what's right in front of them. A bird singing, a leaf falling, the sound of your own breath. Enlightenment isn't hidden. It's here in this moment. If we slow down enough to notice it, this kind of mindfulness isn't passive. It leads to insight, to healing, to deeper connection with others. You become more patient with your loved ones, more understanding with yourself, more grounded in the face of uncertainty. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. The world doesn't need more people running on autopilot. It needs more people awake, truly aikido their own lives. The Buddha didn't teach mindfulness as a trendy lifestyle tip. He taught it as a way to end suffering and rediscover our deepest humanity. So, wherever you are sitting, walking, working, resting, pause, breathe, come back to this moment, because this moment is your life. And living with mindfulness is the truest form of spiritual awakening there is. Life lesson. The heart of Buddhism isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you've always been beneath the noise, the fears, and the endless craving. The Buddhist teachings remind us that peace isn't something we find outside ourselves, it's already within us. We suffer not because life is broken, but because we've forgotten how to see clearly. And when we learn to live with awareness, with mindfulness, with compassion, suffering begins to dissolve on its own. The real awakening is simple. Be here. Not in the past, not in the future here. That's where peace lives. The Eightfold Path isn't a map to heaven. It's a practical way to meet each moment with wisdom. It teaches us how to speak kindly, act with integrity, think clearly, and see reality as it truly is. You don't need to change your entire life to begin. You just need to take one mindful breath, one honest look inward, and in that moment, the path opens. This isn't a religion of fear or judgment, it's a path of love, truth, and freedom. The journey may be long, but the step begins right now. Real-life application. Start simple. Choose one moment today: washing your hands, sipping tea, walking to the mailbox, and be fully present. Feel your body. Notice your breath. Watch your thoughts come and go without chasing them. That is mindfulness. That is practice. The Buddha didn't promise a life without pain, but he showed us how to live with open eyes and a peaceful heart. Whether you're 18 or 80, the door to awakening is always right in front of you. Just walk through mindful step at a time.